Well, the only thing I know for sure is it's in the most extraordinary time of change. As we're having this interview, there's some new something being created in a basement or a garage someplace that's going to totally change the conversation we're having. It's clear that the good news is the gatekeepers have lost their control of the gates in the traditional way. It opens up distribution for everybody, YouTube being a huge, incredible breakthrough of really major proportions. But I have no idea which of the forms of distribution, whether it's downloading or whether it's YouTube or whether it'll be in your ring on your finger. I mean, and in a way it doesn't matter to me. What matters is making the films and then finding the distribution patterns. Now it matters a little bit if you're doing a minute film for YouTube versus an hour and a half film that you want somebody to buy a DVD and watch. That affects the storytelling, that affects the aesthetic. But other than that, there are people who do this for a living and get millions and millions of dollars to figure out which is the distribution that consumers are going to want. My focus is on knowing about those so that, again, I can adapt the storytelling, but ultimately just focusing on the storytelling and then pushing out the content, whether it be on the internet or it be on someone's MySpace page or it be on telephones. It's unbelievably exciting to have all these possibilities right now, but I keep staying away from spending my time analyzing the distribution form and just go back to, man, there are all these stories and look at all the possible places to tell them.
Would you recommend a filmmaker to avoid TV pre-sales, commissions, and distribution deals and just go for it alone?
I would recommend taking whatever you can get. I mean, essentially when you're I love when people talk and say, oh, do this and tell them that. And look, the truth is that 99.5% of people who've made films are in a position where you take whatever you can get. And I've been there many, many times. So it's not like we're sitting back and saying, oh, you know, this offer or that offer. I think you go out, you talk about your film as aggressively as possible, you show it to as many people as possible, and then if you're lucky, somebody will nibble, and then you develop that relationship. And assuming it's not a crook or a thief or a psychopath, then you work with that person or that company to try to get your film out. But again, I think there's far, far too much focus put on what is the perfect deal rather than how do we make the best movie, and then how do we talk about that movie, and how can we let as many people as possible know the movie exists.